Hi, everyone. Welcome back to No Pad Answers. We're your hosts, Dr. Ray Ciervo and Ali Kilmery. This show will help you better understand the reliability of Christianity, the Bible, faith, and worldview. Today, we are going to be talking about Jesus' resurrection. So let's go ahead and jump right in.
Hey,
Back again.
my favorite subject.
That's understandable. I was going to say it's a really good subject, but it really might be the most important subject.
Absolutely.
Yes, and so we thought it would be fitting to talk about Jesus' resurrection because we are coming close to Resurrection Sunday.
Yeah. And it's the most important event since the creation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have a couple of questions that I've written down that I thought that we could talk about.
Good.
So you want to go ahead and jump right into them?
Sure.
Okay, so the first question that I have was just kind of a brief overview of what the resurrection is.
Yeah, great. So the resurrection of Jesus is, I'd say it up front and say, a historical event where the man Jesus Christ was crucified, and then after spending 3 days in the tomb, came back to life, was raised by God. So, and Paul says that, I'm sure we'll talk about it, that if the resurrection didn't occur, then we're the most to be pitied. And yeah, from 1 Corinthians 15. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Good. Okay, so my second question is, well, you opened with this. It is the resurrection a historical event?
yeah, it has to be a historical event. You know, I know that there's people who say that Jesus was raised spiritually, but we should always include that it was a bodily resurrection. So when Jesus rose from the dead, he rose in his body. And it was a changed body, but it was still a body that had the scars of the resurrection on. He
Mm-hmm.
asked or told Thomas to put his fingers in his hands and
Yeah.
in his side. So he's telling that this is a real event. This is my body, and it's really me. He ate with the disciples on more than one occasion to prove that it was a physical body and not a spiritual body. Yeah.
Right. Yes,
So,
that's awesome. Okay, so my next question is, how should the resurrection influence the lives of believers?
yeah. So it should change our lives. When we believe that Jesus rose from the dead, confess with your mouth, believe in your heart that Jesus rose from the dead, that God raised him up, it should be something that changes our lives. Some weeks ago, I preached on the death of resurrection and the resurrection. I'm sorry, the death of Jesus, then the resurrection, and I said that when Jesus was raised from the dead, it's game over. We mankind has now won the battle against the evil forces. Jesus defeated sin and death, so we should be free of those things, and we're alive in Him, so that we can live a life free of sin and death. Because of His resurrection, we get the power of the resurrection in our lives. So it should be something that we see as the foundation of our Christian life. Yeah, to go on forward.
Yeah, that's great. I think it's First Corinthians 5:17 where he says, "Behold, the old has passed away, and the new has come."
Right, all things are new.
When you talk about living in newness, it's really amazing.
Yeah,
Okay,
our lives should be
yeah,
changed. Yeah,
transformed.
transformed. Exactly. Yeah.
Yes, I was baptized 3 years ago. I was baptized on Easter. This Easter will be 3 years, and I reflect often about what my life was like prior to salvation. I
Yeah.
won't share details here, but it was radical,
Yeah.
not even comparable.
Yeah.
It is amazing. I love this time of year. I just love it. It's my favorite time of year. Okay, the next question I have is where would we be right now if it were not for the resurrection of Jesus?
We would still be in our sins. We would still be bound. We would be slaves to sin, slaves to our flesh, doing ungodly things, just like the world that doesn't know Jesus is going on with. We would not be transformed. There'd be no hope in our lives. We often lose sight that we have another life that's waiting for us when we pass from this life. And that's our hope, that the earth is not our home, or at least this earth is not our home. The Bible tells us that God is going to make a new heavens and a new earth, and where righteousness dwells. And that should be our hope, that that's what we're going for.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, the next question that I have is what is the importance of the eyewitness accounts of the resurrection?
Yeah, another great question. We're the eyewitness accounts give us credibility. Oop, losing my ears here. So the credibility of the eyewitnesses help us believe the Bible and what it records is true. So we trust the credibility of the eyewitnesses. It's like any case that has eyewitnesses in the law courts. We have to trust what they're saying. Now, could they be lying? Yeah. But what we have is a list of things that tell us the eyewitnesses were credible. There was corroborating evidence, evidence from non-Christians, as well as the disciples of the apostles who carried on the message. And they have the same writings that we call the New Testament. So it's very important for us to see the credibility of the eyewitnesses, which lends itself to the reliability of the New Testament writings. Yeah, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does make sense. I think also that we have so many great resources. We have so many great resources that lay out for us, like you said, the accounts that are also outside of the New Testament, which is also it's very cool.
Yeah, we have an embarrassment of riches. We have
Yeah.
so many documents, but we have corroborating evidence. There's reports from pagan writers from the first, the second, and third century that corroborate everything that the New Testament says. And you could build a list of things that tell us the same thing that the New Testament, that that Jesus was a real person. He was crucified by Pontius Pilate.
Yeah.
His disciples believed he was alive after they knew he was dead. And he preached the gospel was preached right in the city where Jesus was crucified. So these are all important things, and those are all said to us by people who were not Christians. Matter of
Right.
fact, they were against the church.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Which it makes it hard to deny,
yeah. I mean,
really.
there are accounts where people say that the early church bothered from pagan religions, and they're all disputed evenly and being untrue as being untrue. Yeah.
Yes.
So
So, what is the importance of the resurrection to Christianity as a whole?
without the resurrection, there is no Christianity. If
Yeah.
Jesus was not raised from the dead, we're just another moral religion. But
Yeah.
because he was raised from the dead, we have that message of hope. We have salvation being offered to the human race. So these are things that are just tremendous for us and for the rest of the
Yes.
world, for that matter. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Very good.
when we celebrate Resurrection Sunday, really is the foundation of Christianity. And when you couple
Cornerstone.
together the death, resurrection, and then the outpouring of the Holy Spirit, you have the picture of the church now free from sin and death and free from slavery to sin and having resurrection life and then the power of the Holy Spirit. That's what Christianity is all about.
Yeah, that was beautifully said.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
what the Bible says, is what the Bible teaches us. Yeah.
That's where I spend a lot of my time. It's a good time of the year. And I also love having these couple of weeks leading up to Resurrection Sunday to teach to my kids,
Yeah.
teach to them what we're celebrating this month and why we're celebrating it this month and what it means for a Christian.
Yeah.
And it's just such a sweet time.
That's great. That's
Such a
great.
sweet time. Yes. And before we finish this short video off, I just wanted to maybe ask if there are any resources outside of our Bible that you would recommend to study the resurrection.
My leaning is always toward Gary Habermas. I had the privilege of studying with Gary and spending every evening with him before we had class, having dinner. And there's no one like him that's done the work on studying the resurrection.
Hmm.
He's just released his first what do you call volume? It's over 1,000 pages on the resurrection,
Wow.
the evidences for the resurrection. And he has 3 more volumes coming. The next one comes in September, I believe. This one was on evidences. The second one is on not accusations. What's the right challenges to his evidences, where he covers them and then looks at how do you refute these things? How do we answer these challenges? And then there's 2 more after that I don't know the titles of, but yeah. So
Yeah,
that would
he is
be it.
very thorough as well. Very, very thorough. But I wouldn't necessarily say maybe an easy read, but definitely, um, I think anybody could read it. I
Yeah,
think I'm trying to say that it. is readable for any person.
Yeah. His book, The Historical Jesus, is, I think, gold. That is just really covers everything about the historical Jesus, his resurrection, and is just a great book. And the one that you're reading now, The Resurrection of Jesus, that he co-authored with Mike Licona, is also just a great book to read. Yeah,
Very good. Yeah, I'm enjoying it.
yeah. And it'll solidify your understanding of the resurrection. Yeah,
Yeah, and I think it's great for. I think it's great to read right now because we are having conversations that can be a bit hostile. And I think when you read a book like this, it just gives you the confidence and it gives you like a little toolbox to
yeah,
mentally have to handle a conversation that is very demanding of actual historical evidence and facts. And
right.
when you marry the evidence with your testimony, it just does something very powerful. And I'm enjoying it.
Yeah.
It's
I
been
would
great.
add J. Warner Wallace's Cold Case Christianity to that
Mhm.
list as well. So between those two, they cover just everything that you need to learn about the resurrection.
Yeah.
And yeah, Jim Wallace, another good friend, he he was a cold case detective. That's the way you said,
Mhm.
and he just uses the evidence that you need to prove a case, and
Yeah.
shows you how much evidence there is. Yeah,
I enjoyed I enjoyed that one as well. Cold
yeah,
Case Christianity. Yeah.
yeah.
Very
That's
good.
just been updated. I
Yes.
forgot how many pages he added, so that was a really great upgrade too.
Yep. Very good. Well, this was just a little touch on the importance of the resurrection, and hopefully just a reminder for why we celebrate the resurrection. And hopefully we can just spend the rest of this month really thinking about it and just, dwelling in the presence and the reason for Jesus's resurrection. If you guys have any questions about the resurrection or you wanted to add anything, always feel free to drop a comment or send us an email. We look forward to each one of these videos that we do for you guys with you guys. We look forward to seeing you guys next time.